It's been another busy week on site. There's plenty of jobs still to be done, even though we're now in autumn. And we know that at some point the grass is going to stop growing so much. So it won't need maintaining so often, not like it does in spring and summer. But there's other jobs that need doing around this site. So I had a thought about that. I was on mower earlier on today, and as I passed one at Vans, the owner of that van came out and basically asked me to stop. He wanted to talk to me about something. And just at the side of his van, there's 3 trees. 2 of them look perfectly fine, but the one in the centre doesn't look so healthy. And it is quite a tall tree, but it hasn't got a really thick trunk to it, probably around that thickness. If it actually breaks like the one in the car park did, it could hit his van, because it's tall enough to definitely hit his van if it went over. And sod's law is, that's the way it'll fall. The other side of there isn't any vans, but we know for a fact that's going to happen. And since I consider that part of the job that I do, I went and had a look at it. And he asked me if there was any chance that I could cut it down, just in case it does break one day. But after getting hold of that tree with 2 hands and just giving it a sharp shove, it snapped about that far from the base. And then when I pulled it back, it detached altogether. So I just carried that tree away and we got it dumped. Potentially could have fallen on somebody or damaged his van. Now that's been sorted. But that gave me an idea. As I was saying, certain jobs slow right down on this site. But there's lots of things that need to be done. One thing that I have looked at is there's quite a lot of vans on this site that have not been visited this year. And apparently that happens quite often. People just pay the site fees and then they don't come down all year. I mean, that's up to them. But because of that, at the backs of those vans, there's quite a bit of maintenance that needs doing. So you've got a row of vans down the centre of this site, but then you've got a row that goes from one end right to the far end, and the same over that way. But also there's grass, and the grass has not been cut. So I thought it'd be a good idea during the quieter months to go at back of these vans and do a bit of maintenance behind people's vans. Some of them have tables and chairs at the back of there, but that's not a problem to move. And you know that once you cut it down in autumn, it's not really going to grow a deal. So when they do decide to come down, possibly next spring, summer, it's all nicely maintained for them. And it also gives me that little bit of extra work to do, because during summer I am quite busy. But during autumn and winter, I don't want to be in a position where I've got not much or anything to do, because I'll get quite bored. I can stand the cold to some extent, and I just like to keep busy. So I thought, why not have maybe a suggestion box? I think it'd be really good for this site if people, as that guy did this morning, spotted something that they think might need a bit of attention, and then just wrote it on a piece of paper and then just put it into a box, so they can be reviewed every week, and then that will give me extra jobs to do, and it will better maintain this site at the same time, and also avoid potential accidents. So maybe I'll put that forward to management. There's also other little bits and bobs that I've noticed since I started this job, and that's underneath these vans. We had a problem underneath our van when we first got here. We all know that weeds will grow under a van, but some of them are very persistent. And if there's any gaps in between your boarding or bottom of your van, they will try and grow through. So maybe removing some of these weeds from under the van. And I'm not talking about the little wheat ones. I'm talking about things that have got quite a thick stem to them. I'll show you an example of one that just grew over the last couple of years. And it's the guy that's just had his van took off and he's gone to a new site. But when that van was removed, we could see that these little weeds that were growing out the side of his van weren't actually little weeds at all. This is where that van were, and that is what's growing underneath it. That's not a weed, that's a tree. So definitely needs taking out. And then you've got all these weeds that grow underneath. Some are quite persistent as well. So I think it's definitely something worth keeping on top of. So as you can see, a few jobs that need doing underneath these vans, not just around them. And that, what I just shown you, was just sticking out between a metal shed and the side of the van. But of course when the shed was taken away and the van moved, it was then apparent that it's not a weed, it's an actual tree trying to grow. And if you get something like that near the centre of your van, then it's going to start trying to push the floor up. Because the floors in these are wood, and they can get enough pressure behind them to actually bow your floor, and it's going to cause you problems. So little jobs like that, I think definitely worth a look at, and it will definitely keep me busy as well through autumn, while at the same time maintaining this site even better and people's property that's on it. And since today is the 1st of September, it's now autumn. So it's time to get ready for winter. We have been doing a few bits and bobs, but because it's been nice and sunny, it kind of goes to the back of your head. We've lagged a few pipes. We fixed that dripping tap, which you might have heard of. Unfortunately, a month or so down the road, because it's a really old tap, it started dripping again. So we decided to buy a new one, and then I fitted it. It wasn't that difficult to do, and no dripping taps. That's one that's definitely sorted long term. Apart from that, we've been changing these rails that you can see at the back of my curtains, because they was in the van when we got here. Unfortunately, after a certain amount of time, they start to stick when you try and open them. And then they can be a bit of a nuisance, but more than that, sometimes you'll pull a couple of clips off the curtain rail, then have to try and feed it back through. So we decided to buy all new rails, and we've just put them up on one side of the van, but we've also got some curtains as well, and they're thermal blackout curtains. So that's going to help it keep a lot warmer during winter. So they're the curtains that we've bought. We just need to finish across that top with some kind of a pelmet or something like that. But they're nice, brand new grey curtains. And now they close so much easier. And that's the new tap that I've bought as well. So no more dripping taps. So a couple of extra jobs done already inside this van, and a bit extra maintenance outside. And to be fair, it's beneficial to everybody. And that's why I think it'd be a really good idea that if anybody on this site spots a job that might need some attention, they can just pop a little note into a suggestion box that I can look at every week. Because we know that at a certain point, a lot of these vans are going to be sat empty. So everybody needs to know that it's all nice and secure. And a good example of that was also yesterday. Somebody that's been down here for a week went home, and the guy that's got the van next door to them noticed that they'd left a window open. And we know that's nothing more than an invitation. This guy obviously didn't have any keys, but one thing that they do on this site, which I think is really good, is there's 2 sets of keys for each van. And 1 set of keys is locked in a cupboard in pub. So in the event that there is any problems, they've got access to your van if needed. In case a pipe bursts, which apparently happened last year. And they can get in there, disconnect the water, and then give it a quick clean, which is what somebody else did. In fact, 2 guys off site went into a van and they mopped it, and then they put heaters in there to dry it out, to stop that floor warping, and potentially saving the owners of that van a lot of money. It's all about teamwork and community on small sites, which is what this is. So I think that suggestion box would be a great thing. It's sunny, but it is the beginning of autumn. So we're going to start and make a list of things that we need to get done between now and those colder months. And if you're interested in seeing more caravan related videos in future, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.